Jake Asman? No.
Again?
You already talked to Jake Asman. I know I missed that interview, Boy Green. Welcome aboard, Manchild Show with Boy Green Digital. The Jet Chant, because we're going inside enemy territory, this time on the other side of the Jets. You see, we have these wonderful people that we've known for years and years that are actually out there in the world covering sports. And one of them is going to join us today, and he's been covering the Carolina Panthers, or dare I say, the 3-3 Carolina Panthers. It's our old pal, Mike Lacett. Mike, welcome aboard. Today's broadcast brought to you by our friends at Crest Cadillac. What's up, Mike? How are you?
I'm pretty good. So this is what a digital show looks like. I'm liking it.
You're in the digital space now, my friend. Yes,
that's right. I see my little Instagram logo. Oh, it was there a second ago. There's something running along the screen. There's a subscribe button. I am all about this new world of media.
Now, I know you have spent, your last forever, it seems. I don't know, you tell me how many years you've been in the biz, in the television world. But dare I say, do you miss the old radio world? I remember a long time ago, you filled in for me. You've done a lot of radio guest spots with us over the years. So this is your first soiree, dare I say, into the digital space. But do you miss the radio world? Or are you adapting well to digital and the video world?
No, 100%. I actually had the opportunity, and I had never done this before. About maybe 5 years ago, before I moved here in Grand Rapids, I was asked to fill in for a talk show in Detroit, and it was just me alone for 4 hours.
Wow!
And my goodness gracious, I did it for like a week straight, and I just such an appreciation for people that do that.
Yeah.
And it's just like you start to learn how to talk to yourself really well. You ask yourself
yes,
questions, and then you answer those questions. It's like, are the Panthers really this good this year? Well, I was thinking about it the other day in the car, and the answer is yes. Yes, they are good this year. And then I thought, why are they so good? And you're just like this stream of consciousness, and there's an art to it. And in the 5 days that I did it, it's one of those things when you're just starting out doing something, and you definitely feel you got better, but it is not easy. So I miss radio, and I appreciate what you guys do on the new digital side.
Well, it's funny, because, many, many years ago, my bosses asked me to do a show, to do something on the air. I come over from television like you and then moved into the world of radio. And my bosses wanted me to do something on air. And I was thinking about that, like, do I want to talk to myself for several hours a day? I know there's an audience and you're really talking to them, but you're in this room by yourself and you're just, you're just spitballing, dare I say. You're just thinking out loud, dare I say. This guy right next to me here, he does it 7 days a week, 365 days a year, talking about a singular topic, the Jets. In my opinion, I love him to death. He's out of his bleeping mind. Okay, I probably could say curse words on the internet, but I don't do that. All right.
Well, in that case,
I never wanted to do the one man show, and so my answer was Bud Poliquin, who became my partner and stuck with me for over 16 years, and then inevitably Paul taking over his spot. Because I don't like talking to the walls. I like having another human being to interact with, dare I say. So, and even nicer when we have two. So anyway, let's get to it. Enough of the radio nonsense. Let's talk some football because Boy Green's Jets, who are desperately seeking a win, all right, and who are just running through the rumor mill these days, are getting ready to take on a Carolina team that perhaps expectations weren't all that high this season, but at 3-3, it's very reasonable. So what's going on in Carolina? Is Bryce Young finding his moxie? Give us a little bit of nuggets in the overall picture of the Carolina Panthers now sitting at 3-3.
It's such an interesting team. People always ask me, like, is it hard to cover a team that's really bad? And I always say no, because it's always been sort of this train wreck. I've always said in sports, you either want to be really, really good or really, really bad for a lot of reasons. Number one, if you're really, really good, you're competing for something. And if you're really, really bad, then you're at least in the situation to find yourself in the draft to get better. You don't want to be in this mediocre pocket.
Purgatory. Yep.
And now they're 3-3, and it's interesting because there's just a lot of uncertainty with this team, but they're trending in the right direction. They're going up. At least that's the way it seems. You talked about expectations before the start of the season. Expectations were actually like fairly decent. I mean, they're in a very weak division. So the thought last year, just like the thought this year, was that, hey, if we get 8 wins, 9 wins, we could be in the playoff picture. That obviously did not happen last year. It was a bad season for most of the year until they finally turned the corner a little bit toward the start of the year, which had led people to be hopeful going into this year that the worst was behind them. Then we begin the season, and it's like, oh my goodness, like the same problems that haunted this team last year are back in full force, and it's just this is it. This is it. This is the end. We're finally going to admit that Bryce Young is not the guy. He flirted with not being the guy last year, then came back, and we'd sort of resigned to the fact that, okay, he's not as great as we hoped he was, but he's also not as bad as we feared he might be. And now here we are. He's bad. He's bad. He's bad. He's bad. He's turning the ball over. This is awful. And then in the last 2 weeks, once again, he's like a cat. Bryce Young has 9 lives. And now, again, we're still not saying that he is the next Aaron Rodgers, the next Patrick Mahomes, but it's like, holy moly, the kid is going to be okay. We don't know that, but we do know that in a season so far of so much inconsistency, characteristics of what could make this Panthers team good are starting to come to light. So here in Charlotte, there's a lot of people that are encouraged by what's happened over the last 2 weeks. It's only the second win streak the team has ever had in the Bryce Young era. And now they could do something they haven't done for the first time ever in Bryce Young's tenure, win 3 in a row. So there's cautious optimism, but with this team, this community has been so hurt and so wounded for so long that there is a fear of jumping on the bandwagon at this point. But there is happiness at last.
Let me give a tip of the cap to Lerch that he missed our normal scheduled Jets interview, and he said, "I can't go a week without getting some Jets love in there." God bless you, sir. God bless you, sir. So yeah, let's get into some more of this Panthers here. Mike Lacett, Dave Canales. Like, what's sort of the temperature on him? He's the hot coordinator that comes over from Tampa Bay, and they've been, sort of shuffling out their offense coordinators, getting head coaching jobs. Liam Cohen just got it in that same state, in the state of Florida down there with the Jacksonville Jaguars. So how are people feeling about Dave Canales?
They like him, but I think they're starting to be this thought of like, okay, coach, we need you to be a little harder on this team a little bit. Pat Riley, or actually Phil Jackson, used to have this old saying that every year coaches are allowed one freak out moment where they walk into the locker room and they break a backboard and they it's an act, it's like, I am so disappointed in you, and he's pounding the wall and just absolutely loses cool because and the team, if it's done right, will be like, holy moly, like we really upset this guy. We don't want to do that. But if you keep doing it over the course of the time, it loses its effectiveness. We're not even close to that. After every single win or loss, Dave Canales gives the same speech. We tried hard, guys. The guys are, it's just the execution. We're almost there, though. I'm very encouraged. 24-hour rule, got to put this one behind us. And it's like, oh, my goodness gracious. Like, Dave, can we just get a little hard on this team? Can we get on Bryce? I would just love to see Canales snap. I would love to see Bryce snap. I would love to see them get in the face of somebody and be like, just take some accountability rather than in this, I don't know, new age, like, it's okay, we're going to figure this out. No, we're not going to. We've got to be more aggressive here. And so I think people are getting a little tired of it. I don't think, now there were rumors that when things were going south that he might be on the hot seat. I don't necessarily buy that. I think that if this season does take a downward spiral, I think the person that will take that blame is Bryce Young. Because, again, this regime did not draft Bryce Young. That was the previous regime. So I think Canales will get another grace year. And then next year, if it still goes down, then he will finally take the wrath of and the punishment of not being able to turn this around. So I think when Dave was hired, people were encouraged. I think now it's a little bit of show me what you got, man. You're running out of time.
Most of the time, Mike, injuries take teams down a deep, dark road. But down in Carolina, dare I say, we haven't been this excited about a guy named Rico since 1978. And Barry Manilow wrote the song Copacabana. I mean, my goodness, Rico Dowdle is a thing, at least the last 2 weeks, for fantasy owners, for the Carolina Panthers. This guy's had a resurgence. I don't even know where he came from. He was pretty decent with the Cowboys. I mean, he was a 1,000-yard rusher last year. They decided to let him walk. But, man, he has breathed life into this team. Has he won this starting job, Mike? And talk about how he has transformed. I know he got the Cowboys. He got the revenge game. But he started this up the week before he got the Cowboys. Let's talk about Rico.
Okay, so this is where it gets interesting. And this is where, again, that Dave Canales, tough love, I think, should come in. Dave has not indicated one way or another what's going to happen with the running back situation. At the start of the year, Carolina really, really, really wanted to have a balanced two-back attack. This is something that they have been trying to do for years. And if you paid attention to the roster, that second running back position has never really flourished. They had Miles Sanders last year. That didn't work out. Dante Foreman was another guy, and Chuba's been the guy that has won the job via war of attrition. And they just paid him serious money last year to keep him around. He earned that money. He earned that money because he did great last season. He was steady Eddie, one of the few consistent things for Carolina. So that's the Chuba Hubbard situation. Now, the only reason why Rico Dowdle is here is because last year, the 2024 pick that they had, Jonathan Brooks, suffered another season-ending injury that's kept him out for all this year. So it happened in November. He was just returning from an ending injury that ended his college career. He plays a couple games, looks good, and then another injury, so he's out. So going in the offseason, they bring in Rico Dowdle on a one-year deal, and it's just sort of like a stopgate. Like, okay, he's just going to be here, and then we're going to probably let you move on, and then Jonathan Brooks is going to come back, hopefully, if he's healthy, and he's going to be that guy because we like him. And now we got all this, and it's just like we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know where this all fits in. Rico has done a great job. When he takes the ball off a handoff, everyone has described it as it looks like he's running angry. And yeah, there was the revenge game against Dallas, but the week before he was just as devastating against the Dolphins. So, I mean, Rico should, I think, be the guy, at least in the short term, until he messes it up. But I think Dave is tempted to try to figure out, okay, well, Chuba really didn't do anything to lose his job. We've got to work him back in, and I wonder how that's going to affect the tempo and the rhythm of Carolina's offense, which is finally moving the ball downfield at a consistent basis.
Talking with Mike Lacett down in Carolina. He covers the Panthers. He's our Panthers insider and a longtime friend of the program. It is the Manchild Show with Boy Green Digital. Don't forget to like our video, hit the little thumbs up, and also subscribe. We're looking to up our subscribers. Mike, we're giving away a free golf club. I'll show it before we get out of the thing today. If you subscribe, if you haven't already, Mike.
I'm already subscribed.
Well, then you're in the lottery, as they say, my friend. You might get a phone call from me just out of the blue, just saying, hey, Mike, I have something for you. I'm sending it down there in Carolina in the mail. It is a brand new Cleveland high-bore XL driver, still in the wrapping, so to speak, Mike.
And then I'd probably give it back to you because I don't play golf, and I'd say,
okay, well, then it'll be give it to another person. Well, you could give it to another subscriber, right? But if you subscribe now, you're going to be in that lottery. And once we hit 500 subscribers, he's giving me the clue. So now I got to go grab the poll. All right, all
right.
Here it is.
Okay.
All right, I brought it up. We might as well get on with it. Okay, here's the beautiful head cover. All right. Donated, by the way, from today's sponsor, our friend. Oh, no, it's not today's sponsor, but from our friends at Play It Again Sports. Today's sponsor is actually Crest Cadillac, our friends at Crest Cadillac. And here it is, Mike, look at it, still wrapped up. Ooh, look at that. Could you imagine, Mike Lacett, even the non-golfer, hitting a golf ball with this monstrosity?
Unbelievable.
300 yards down the fairway and straight for sure. Anyway, we're giving that away to one of our first 500 subscribers, and all you have to do is subscribe to be essentially in the lottery. So get in the lottery. Our first 500, and you get a chance to win that golf club, courtesy of our friends at Play It Again Sports. All right, let's bring Mike Lacett back. Let's continue talking Carolina Panthers football. Mike, in talking about that running back room, it almost feels like to me the Panthers had like this long recovery period once they decided to let Christian McCaffrey go. All right, we know what he's done since he's left, so they had him. Remember, people will remember back in the day, McCaffrey was the man in that room, and now they got this problem where they might have potentially, if Brooks comes back healthy, a three-headed monster in that backfield. But it has been impressive what Dowdle has done. And, this seems more – I don't know if this is Linsanity here. I mean, this guy may have found his place, with the Carolina Panthers. And isn't it fun when stuff like that happens, especially if a guy like that happens to be on your fantasy roster and he's putting up 30 plus a week? That's always fun as well. All right, let's talk about the matchup with the Jets, Mike, because everybody in the league right now is probably, saying, oh, we have the Jets this week. Let's check off the old win box and move forward. So how does Carolina, you think, what kind of signs are they showing about their respect or lack thereof for the 0-6 Jets as they roll in?
No, I think they definitely respect them because I think the Panthers are not buying their own hype yet. I mean, they recognize that they are a team that has the potential to play very inconsistently. And there was a bit of Jekyll and Hyde syndrome of you don't know what version of the squad that we're going to get here. So they're taking the game seriously. They're not getting off the situation that they're in. They're not thinking they're high and mighty by any means. Carolina has been humbled. The one thing I'll say about the Panthers, and it makes it very hard to criticize them, overall, to a man, all good guys. Like it's a good locker room. There's not one guy in there that, is show me the money kind of guy. Every single one of them is nice, respectful. They seem to have an appreciation for each other, and they even seem to have appreciation for us. Like the guys don't like talking to us, but they always make time. They always answer tough questions. So I don't think accountability and respect is not a problem with this team. Let's put it that way. I think they understand that if they're not careful and if they're not focused, because they understand the situation the Jets are in because they've been there themselves. They're taking them seriously.
And I'm a big draft nerd, Mike. And when the Panthers were on the clock, a lot of people wrote in a different player for them in the draft. And then all of a sudden, here's Tetero McMillan. I was like, whoa, all right, there we go. I love surprises in the draft. How much of a surprise was it to people over there in Carolina? And how surprised have you been with his production so far?
It's funny. And I don't mean to toot my own horn on this one, but I was not surprised by the pick because they're going into the draft. There were Jalen Walker from Georgia appeared to be the guy that everybody thought they were going to take. Yep. And I just remember hearing Canales and hearing Dan Morgan, their general manager. And I was like, there's something about this that they keep alluding to, but if there's an offensive player there that we really like, we're going to, we've got to consider that too. And it's I don't think they're playing hard to get. I think they're tipping their hand. So when they picked McMillan, there was a collective groan in the press room. And again, it's that jadedness of so many people that have seen this team mess things up all the time. And there's a guy that I work with. He is an 11-year NFL veteran. His name is Al Wallace, and he is just a great guy. And he played defensive end for Carolina, and he was I feel like they should have taken a defensive guy. I really, really do. We have the historically bad defense. They needed to correct this guy. And I credit Al. I like the fact that Al has basically said, I was wrong. Tetero McMillan was a great pick. And I think there's a lot of people in Carolina right now that also feel that way. This guy has captured the hearts of fans here in Carolina. Instantly, he has been just a guy that that is reliable on the field, that has shown up and has been, other than the one game against New England, that was the one game where he just had a bad one. Every single week, he has been Bryce's top target. And there have been so many people in Carolina who have been so happy to eat their words and say, I had this wrong. Tetero McMillan is a great player and a great addition to the team. And his legacy is just starting.
All right, we're inside enemy territory, NFL style. It's the Jets getting ready for the 3-3 Carolina Panthers. Today's broadcast is brought to you by our friends at Crest Cadillac. Let's just take 30 seconds, learn a little bit more about our friends from Crest.
Cadillac certified pre-owned vehicles, exclusively available in Central New York at your participating Cadillac dealer, Crest Cadillac. Each one must meet high standards and receives a 172-point inspection, along with a 1-year unlimited mile warranty after the original warranty expires. Come into Crest Cadillac in Syracuse today for exceptional offers on Cadillac certified pre-owned models. CrestCadillac.com.
All right, Mike Lacett joining us, our Carolina Panthers insider, as the Jets get ready to take on the Panthers this week. We talked a little bit earlier, Mike, about Bryce Young. Let's talk about his evolution and where he is right now. How does Carolina feel about him as their current quarterback? And is the future incredibly bright, or is he just kind of somewhere in the middle right now? And is there uncertainty still about whether or not he truly is that thing we all are looking for, the franchise quarterback?
No, I think there is no uncertainty about that. I think that people have resigned themselves to the fact that he is not as great as they'd hoped would be when they drafted him. I mean, I think they thought that this guy was going to be a transcendent talent. Remember, they traded up to get him. I mean, they thought that this was the guy. And it was a controversial pick because of his height. And there were other guys and other quarterbacks in the draft that might have been more fundamentally sound at that point. But David Tepper was a big driving force behind this. He thought that based on the intel that he had received, the owner of the team, that Bryce was the guy. Clearly, he is not a franchise guy. There was a time where it looked like he was going to be an absolute bust, and they were having to eat their words, and there was the benching, and he's back now, and he's not a franchise guy, but he's competent and he's winning games. He's helping win games. As long as he doesn't revert back into what we saw maybe earlier this season or at times last year, I think there's sort of this truce that fans and management have aligned themselves to, and that, okay, we can take this. We can take this version of Bryce. This is our guy. But I don't think that he'll ever be in the same sentences as some of the greats that have played this game. He's just, the height thing is real. There are times where, like, to make a simple pass, he literally has to jump over the guy. I'm not being mean. I mean, I'm 5'9" myself, so I'm not a tall guy myself. I mean, Lord knows
short jokes. There's no short jokes allowed in our podcast.
Do that, but like, it's just, the height deficiency is a real thing. But it's sometimes even decision making too. He'll sometimes force an issue, or sometimes he won't force an issue, and maybe he should have. Again, it's not a perfect situation. I think it's fluid. I think if he has a string of 5 or 6 bad games this year, clearly they've got a decision to make. Inevitably, I don't think he's the guy. I think a lot of people sort of think that, but we're just sort of making this work.
I guess the question, Mike, is, like you said, I mean, they have to make this decision whether they're going back to the well in the draft for another one. I mean, this is how you find them, is you keep searching for them in the draft, unless there's somebody out there in free agency that you think could help you right away. So it seems like if let's just say this is a somewhat close to 500 season for the Panthers when it's all said and done. Okay. A couple under, a couple over, right at 500. The thought here would be that Carolina is going to look for other pieces around Bryce Young, other pieces for that defense, and try and continue to build the franchise without worrying at the moment about, we got to fix this quarterback thing. Is that your take on what you think their future is if this continues?
I think so. I mean, the funny thing was, like, that Dolphins game was that could have been the end of everything. I mean, the way that thing, they were down 17-0 in that game. I was at the Roval covering NASCAR and not paying attention at all to what was happening on the race, because I was like, oh my gosh, this is it. This is the end of the Bryce Young era. He's turning the ball over. He had a fumble. He had an interception. Like, this is everything happening in real time. And then somehow they turned it around, and it's, like I said before, he's like a cat. He's got 9 lives. But I think things like that only delay the inevitable. This needs to be broken up at some point if it keeps playing out like this. Now, they've got 2 wins. They're taking on a Jets team that's winless. This should be another one. These are the games that a team on the rise has to win. I mean, like, you can say, well, they're not playing really any great competition. That's fine. But last year they were losing these games. So you are seeing a step in the right direction. And again, if they get to 500 this year, I think they'll double down, triple down on Bryce and say, okay, we know this is not, again, he's not Joe Montana, but like, okay, we're still moving in the right direction. But I do think at some point there's going to be a parting of the ways. He's not the guy. He's not the guy.
You mentioned earlier the debates in the draft room about, at least media-wise, of like what the Panthers should do. And your partner there, Al, the former Carolina Panther himself, said, boy, this defense was historically bad. And I go to the production this year. There's only 5 sacks for the entire Panthers defense, and not a single Panther has more than a single sack, including superstar Derek Brown, who I love, on that defensive line. Is it just really bad? What has been the telltale of this defense this year? Because obviously those numbers aren't overwhelming.
So first off, what is overwhelming is their run defense. I mean, their run defense the last 2 games have held the opposition to under 100 yards.
Wow.
So when we look at defining characteristics that are starting to pop up, that you're like, wow, I sort of get what they're doing now. That run defense has been legit. On the other hand, their pass defense has been awful. So there's the good news is this week the Jets can't pass. So
yeah, I was just gonna say the way Justin Fields is throwing it, you don't sound like you have much to worry about. Negative 10 last week was the tally. In case you didn't know, we all know, of course.
The run defense is starting to emerge as a real strength of this team, anchored by Derek Brown, who again one of those great guys I talked about in the locker room, that a solid leader. When he was out last year, they desperately missed him. So it's good to have him back. J.C. Horn, lockdown guy in the secondary. Mike Jackson, everyone's having fun exploiting him at the moment. The Cowboys had a huge game against him. So, again, there are holes. The defense is an interesting situation because 3 years ago, when the Panthers went through another coaching change and the Frank Reich project failed miserably, they blocked Ejiro Evero from moving on. They blocked him. Because they're like, and he wanted to leave. He's like, the coach that hired me is gone. I don't see this. And they're like, no, you're under contract. We like what you did. And because it was one of the few strengths the team had. And so they're like, we're going to keep you. Oh, by the way, we're going to decimate your roster. So they come back last year. And as I said before, the defense was historically bad. Guess who was on the hot seat? Ejiro Evero. So the guy that they wouldn't let leave now all of a sudden is taking the blame. So this year it was one of those situations where this guy's stock has dramatically fallen based on where it was 2 years ago from being this hot up-and-coming coach. But little by little, he's starting to turn things around. The pass defense is still a mess, but the run defense is the real strength of the Carolina defensive team. And anybody, regardless of your record, has to pay attention to it because they will stop you.
Mike, is there anything you're scared of in terms of what the Jets present? They haven't presented themselves well, and that is realistic. I thought they'd be a better team at the beginning of this season. They have not been the team that I thought they would be. They showed some signs in their last game of good defensive special teams play, and then the offense went in the tank. But is there something that the Jets present that Carolina goes, uh-oh?
No, I mean, for Carolina in this game, it's more a Carolina problem. I mean, if they do what they did last week and play good football, they'll win. But if they do what they did against the Dolphins and just start turning the ball over left and right and letting guys score on them, they'll be in a dogfight, a situation they should not be in. I mean, to give you an idea of like what we're talking about, like over the weekend, like Carolina was down like 4 points, and there was this feeling that the game was over. It was insane. It's like you look at the clock and it's like 8 minutes to go in the third quarter. The Panthers are down 4. And there's this genuine feel like, that's it. They're not going to figure this out. They just went 3 and out. They're down 4. Like, that's it. It's over. And that's where we are with this Panthers team. There's not a lot of faith. Again, people have been hurt so many times, and they've been let down so many times by this team that we don't even know on a quarter-to-quarter basis what we're going to get sometimes from them. So if you're New York, this is prime opportunity to take advantage.
BG, you see how they talk now about the Jets? It's like, we have to win this one. If we don't, this is a must win.
It's true. I can't blame them for looking at, like before the season, the Jets had all these games on the schedule. I'm like, the Saints clearly were better than that.
Winning that one, Carolina we'll be, we should walk away with that thing. Yeah, I know.
It takes me to the Seinfeld scene where it's George and Jerry, and they're sitting there, and George's like, I'm better than that guy. He's like, no, you're not. You're worse, much, much worse. And they're going back and forth, and that's it for the Jets. Like they have to look in the mirror. They're the only winless team in football. Every team should be looking at them, going, check, please. Like, come on.
And they are. And that's a sad state of affairs. But
I just told you they respect them. I just told you they respect
That's true.
them.
That's true.
They're not, don't get
the Carolina team might respect him, but nobody in that crowd is going to respect him. Nobody, yeah. Respect is, the football players need to respect each other. You go into any game in the NFL, I don't care what it is. We all thought last week, Cincinnati, they're going to get the doors blown off them. Well, a little Joe Flacco magic, and next thing you know, Cincinnati's in a game, and a play or two, as Bud would always say, a play or two, and Cincinnati might have won that game. All right, they didn't win it, but they were certainly in it. So nobody in the NFL is out of a game before it begins, especially if their opponent lacks the proper respect that a professional team, no matter who they are and what their record is, gets. So this will be an interesting one.
Don't get twisted. Carolina's not a great football team. I mean, but they are starting to win games that they're supposed to win. I mean, it's like, and that's a good sign. I mean, this team, if they get 8 wins, that's a great year. That's a great year based on what we've seen in the past. If they get 7 wins, that's still a step in the right direction. So, but again, they're not a great team. They're light years away from being a great team.
I'm going to get a little fantasy advice from you on the way out here, Mike. All right. So I got a little problem in our Chumps League. Lamar Jackson is my quarterback. As you know, Lamar's been out. When you have Lamar, you don't usually go get a great backup because, Lamar's just starting every week other than the bye. But he got hurt a couple of weeks ago, so I was forced to go to the waiver wire. I've been running Geno Smith out there every week. That has not been going so well. So I'm definitely going to probably make a roster move to one of these lesser guys.
Oh.
Bryce Young, is he a thumbs up or a thumbs down in fantasy for me, Mike? Do I take Geno out and put Bryce in just for this 1 week? Because Lamar's back next week. All right. Do I do it?
He's gotten over 200 yards once this season. That was in the game they lost. He's turned the ball over a lot.
But is this the week that he?
I wouldn't. I mean, Bryce again. It's just so up in the air. He's just so inconsistent, and his numbers are never going to wow you.
No, you wouldn't do it. Okay, it's a no from you. No. You're not sticking with Geno, right? I mean, I got to go somewhere else. I mean,
you definitely can't go Geno.
Yeah, I can't go Geno again.
You got to look at other options.
I've looked at Geno the last couple of weeks. I'm like, ooh, man, I thought he could go out there and be competent. He has not been all that confident. I feel for Geno. All right, Mike Lacett, as always, man, great to talk to you. Thanks for giving us a little scouting report on the Carolina Panthers as they get ready to face Boy Green's New York Jets.